Hi guys, welcome to episode 53 of Notable Needlework. I am Kate, Notable Needle, N-O-T-E-A-B-L-E, on Ravelry, on Plurk, on Twitter, and on Draw Something. Now, I finally gave in and got it. The blog, if you're watching this on iTunes, is at notableneedlework.blogspot.com. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast, Notable Needlework Podcast. I have not gotten a lot of sleep this week. This is take 2 of the episode because I realized partway through recording I should probably have checked to make sure that the sound was recording. It didn't. So, yeah. I'm gonna try and make sure that I mention everything that I talked about last time. So, yeah. Long week. I will actually talk about... Everything's going to kind of get mixed in with each other, the knitting and the non-knitting, so just go with it. I finished, of course, I didn't bring Will's socks in again because he was wearing them. I finished Will's Katamari socks, and he loves them, and he's wearing them. Yeah. There's pictures up on the Ravelry project page, and I will try and pry them off his feet to show. Oh God. To show you guys next week. Works in progress. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention it last week, but I was in my pajamas last week. I'm in my pajamas again this week. My Scripps College 79 Years of Women on Top shirt. Because that's how we roll. I have the Daybreak by Stephen West. This is in my bird leg bags, the small project bag with my knitting sheepies on it. I'm on stripe 9 of 20. I'm doing the largest size of the shawl on a size 4 needle, and this is Highland Handmaid's Sugar Maple Sock in the Brights Rainbow colorway, and Cascade Heritage Sock in the True Black colorway. I love how the colors are working together. It's very 80s, and I love it. So it's coming along, slowly but surely. And I'm doing that for the, well, hopefully, for the Knit One Heart 2 neck knit along. I don't know that I will finish it by April 11th, but I will sure try. Okay. So that is that. I think everything else that I'm about to show you is new on the needles. So in my Pretty Cheap project bag, my pink Pretty Cheap project bag, I'm working on the Gimli socks for the Yarnivore Knit Along. Okay, there we go. This is out of Cascade Heritage Sock in the True Red or the Christmas Red colorway. I don't really remember. I'm doing mine on a US 2 because I can. Because that's what I make gauge with. So I'm getting along on the charts. I think I finished row 9 or 10 on the center chart. But these are for Will, and he doesn't know he's getting them. But I really like how they're turning out so far. I really love the twisted stitches and the definition that they give to the pattern. I think it looks awesome. So these are coming along. I know for sure that I will finish these by the March 31st deadline. I know for sure I can get these done by then. The other nylon socks, not so sure about that. So the other knit along that I'm doing of Claire's Designs is in my blue Pretty Cheap project bag. They are the Gollum socks for the Hobbit knit along read along for the month of March. This is Cascade Heritage sock again in the aqua. I think this is the aqua colorway. I've only gotten the ribbing done so far, which is why there's still 2 at a time on the needles. The sock has a very unusual construction where there are holes in the back. There's sort of a cable loop thing going on, but in the center there's no stitches. It's worked back and forth and then joined in the round for a couple rounds and then worked back and forth to get the holes to be there. So I have to find stitch holders or DPNs or something to keep those stitches on for the one sock. I wanted to make sure the ribbing matched, but then the socks will have to work separately, which I am not crazy about, but I don't want to fiddle with the stitches with trying to do 2 at a time working back and forth. That's just a recipe for disaster. Oh, there is one more. And this got a lot of work because this is what I brought with me when I was babysitting, when I was sitting with Addie, who was in labor for like 30 hours. This is the Perry the Platypus self-striping sock yarn from Nalani Yarns. I'm doing just a simple afterthought heel. I put in the waist yarn already. And it's 64 stitches on a US size 1, and the striping pattern is perfect. It works absolutely perfectly with the yarn striping width. I love the way it's turning out. And if I hadn't already put the waist yarn in for a size 8, I would possibly try and steal these for myself. I think that there will be another skein of this in my future. My far, far future. Because I do not need any more yarn. So, of course, yeah. And that's in my Yarnivore bag. Yeah, the Gollum should probably be in the Yarnivore bag because that would make much more sense. But, yeah. So, that's it for current works in progress. I have, for spinning, I gave up with the Wensleydale. I unceremoniously put it back in here, and I'm going to try spinning woolen and or long draw when I get my wheel, because right now it was just driving me crazy on the drop spindle and I wasn't working on it, and I want to be able to spin something that I like spinning on the drop spindle, so then I don't feel, I don't really know how to describe it, but then I feel like I'm only using the drop spindle because I have to. I don't like feeling that way, because I do love my drop spindle. I just don't like certain fibers on it. So, what is coming up next, starting with spinning, in my Knitting's My Bag medium bag with my medical fabric on it, I will start to spin. This is Greenwood Fiberworks. It's 4 ounces of hand-painted BFL in the Tribe colorway. And I'm going to put a link up to the shop because I may have ordered more things from her. But it has lots of pretty blues and olive greens and more blues and charcoal gray and brown and truer greens, like a sage green almost. This is definitely going to be plied. I have not decided whether it will be a 2 or a 3 ply. probably a 2. Although I really like how the 3-ply turned out with the rainbow. No, it'll probably still be a 2 because I want maybe a sport or a DK weight. I should probably figure out what I want to make out of it and then decide what weight I want to spin. But knowing me, I'll just see how it spins and then decide from there. But it's very pretty and I cannot wait to start spinning it. The only reason I haven't yet is because I like showing it in the braid. Because it's always very pretty in the braid. And then once you split it up, sometimes it's not so pretty. So I will be doing that on my Highland Handmaids spindle, and I found the sheet that says what wood it is and how much the spindle weighs, and then I lost it again. I know. I'm 90% sure it's beech and it's like 1 1/3 ounces or something like that. Although I think that those two numbers don't go together. So I'm not sure. There are 2 more projects that I'm planning on making, and then a couple things that I either got this week or am getting soon. So the first things I got that I actually have to show you. I placed my order with Jimmy Beans Wool. The shipping was the fastest I think I've ever seen, especially since it was coming from Las Vegas. And it's not like it was going LA to New York or somewhere where they probably ship, they have lots of planes that go back and forth. This is Las Vegas to Birmingham. Not a very common route, I would think. I ordered it on Friday night. They shipped on Saturday morning. It got here on Monday. Yeah. So I am thrilled. I will definitely be ordering from them again, although not for a while because I don't need more yarn. I don't. But on, I guess on each of their, bags that they ship to you in comes with a pattern, or 2 in this case, and these are for baby blankets. Will I necessarily use them? I don't know, but it's cool that they send them to you. I also adore the fact that they ship in bags and not boxes, because the postman will always squish the bags into our mailbox, and that's not always the case with boxes. Even the little ones that clearly fit in the box, they'll put the slips in and make us go to the post office to pick them up. So I am thrilled with the way they ship and how fast they ship. So very good things to say. And then a couple days, I think it was on Sunday or Monday, I discovered that Knittables is doing a West Knits Knit Along for the month of April. So I will be doing the Spectra out of my Mini Mochi, and I don't know if I mentioned this is the Intense Rainbow colorway, and the Cascade Heritage Chocolate that I got last week. So I think that those will work very well together. And as Heather said, Heather from Highland Handmaids, wow, you got rainbow yarn. That's so unlike you and so out of character. Yes, I love my rainbow. But I'm very much looking forward to see how these work together. The other upcoming thing I have, I'm going to show that next. I ordered a couple things. My friend Yun got her socks. They were supposed to be for her birthday, April 11th. And I sent them to her boyfriend's house so that he could hide them until her birthday. Unfortunately, they came on a Saturday, and she happened to be there when the mail guy came and dropped them off. And she saw that there was an envelope and that it was from me and that it was soft and squishy. So she begged and pleaded that she would be able to open it, and Colton gave in because, knowing Yun, she would just open it when he went to sleep. So she got to open them, and she absolutely adores the socks, and evidently he has not been able to get them off her feet. And she wrote me a very sweet message. I absolutely adore Yun and her silly sense of humor, and whenever she writes me a message, I can hear her saying it and or acting it out, as the case of rubbing the socks against her face goes. So, yeah, I always love knowing that the socks are well appreciated by the people who are getting them. And that she doesn't need to try and steal my other friend's socks anymore. So from the PayPal balance that I had, because I did those for her, I got some more ChiaoGoo needles. I don't actually remember what sizes I got, so I'm going to get to be surprised when they come. I know for sure I have, oh, gray hair, that I got a size 5 to do the Spectra on. I don't remember what the other sizes or length were. So I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, and hopefully I'll remember why I got them. Yeah, I get to be fully surprised whenever I get an order, because I will forget what I ordered, and then it's like a present. And that's probably kind of sad. But with the leftover balance from that, I decided to get fiber, because fiber does not count as breaking the yarn diet. And I went to Greenwood Fiberworks, again, going to post a link in the show notes, and I looked through her newest items, and I got 2 braids of fiber. I got this, which is her heathered, hand-painted BFL roving in the Grapevine colorway, and her heathered line has these streaks of darker wool running through it. It's not quite as striking as the rainbow fiber that I got that has the black alpaca running through it, but it's a nice depth of color, and I'm sure it'll look fantastic when it's spun up. The other one I got is hand-painted Polworth, and both of these braids are 4 ounces. It's the first time I'll ever have Polworth in my stash or spin it or any of that. This is the Shades of Magenta colorway, and I think that will look fantastic spun up and plied and just generally be awesome. Yay! So that's it for stuff that's coming. Okay. This is sort of going to segue into the not knitting part, because that's pretty much everything knitting related, except for 2 projects that are upcoming that have to do with a extremely non-knitting topic. So I got a phone call on Tuesday afternoon, right after I left knitting group, from Adeline. And she had just come from her doctor's appointment and said, "Hey, guess what? We're checking into the hospital tonight." I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but we had a bet going, and I bet, somewhat jokingly, that the twins would be born on March 7th, which would have been my dad's birthday, because March is generally a hard month for me because there's a lot of things that have to do with my dad. It would have been his birthday, St. Patrick's Day was his favorite holiday, and then The 28th is actually the anniversary of the day he died, so I generally don't like March. So I jokingly told her last week, oh, they should totally be born on the 7th, so then something good can come out of it this year. So she called me on Tuesday, which was the 6th, and said, we're being admitted to the hospital. So I started cracking up, and I spent the night there on Tuesday. That was fun. Those beds are not nearly as comfortable. The ones that they provide for the dad and the family members, not nearly as comfortable as they say they're going to be. Fortunately, she was only like 1 centimeter in the morning before they started her Pitocin, and so I got to go to class that day because things were progressing very slowly. In my personal opinion, they started her epidural way too early. It's generally recommended that you wait until they're at least like 4 centimeters dilated before you start the epidural, because the epidural slows down labor. They started at 1. Yeah. I personally would not have done that. But, so things were progressing very slowly, so I got to stay the whole day in class and just check my phone like every 5 minutes to see if she had texted me. Whenever there was any sort of change, she let me know, so that if they were going to come soon, I could go a-running. So, I went there after class at around 4. At around 10 p.m., the doctor said, I don't think this is going to work. We're going to do a C-section. Which, the only reason Addie was not thrilled about that was because that's what she was saying the whole day, and I think that she vastly would have preferred not having to go through labor for about 30 hours just to have a C-section afterwards. So the twins were born on Wednesday night, and so they do have my dad's birthday. And I have 2 new godsons. And I have pictures, of course, because what doting godmother wouldn't? This is Roberto Angel. Trying to minimize the glare. And no, I want you to pull up that picture. There we go. And oh, come on, iPad. It doesn't want to pull up the picture of the second one. There we go. And Carlos Frank. And Frank was my daddy's name. So, everyone involved is extraordinarily thrilled. They are precious. Babies and mom are doing just fine. Because they were born at 35 weeks and are technically premature, they have been monitoring them very carefully in the neonatal intensive care unit. But they are breathing on their own. I believe they've taken out their IVs. But they're just being monitored. They're breathing on their own. Their lung function is perfect. The only problem they're having right now is regulating their body temperature outside of the warmers. Obviously, since they were born early, they don't have as much fat as a regular baby would have. They're each around 5 pounds, whereas normal baby is 7-8 pounds. More like 7. But that's quite a bit difference. So they're watching for that. Addie is expecting to be discharged on Monday morning, and the twins are either going to be discharged that day or Wednesday at the latest. So we've been trying to figure out schedules for when I can go over there and check, because she does need to make sure that her incision does not get infected, and she can't really do that by herself. So I will definitely be helping with that. Her husband doesn't really do blood and guts at all, so I'll be helping with that, and just making sure that she is doing all right and the twins are doing all right. So it should be a fun couple weeks. My mom is very excited to meet them. I keep reminding her that they are not, in fact, her grandchildren. But she will dote on them as if they were. Which, considering the distance, is not really that bad. If she was here all the time, yeah, those kids would be spoiled rotten. But but she wanted to wait until they were born to get them baby books, the sort of scrapbook type books where you fill in like the information, like it has fill in the blanks about, you know, how much they weighed when they were born, their names, their first doctor's appointment, and they have spots for photos and first birthday party and all the basic memories that you would expect to have with your children. So we are I'm picking them out and Mom's paying for them, because Mom doesn't really know Addie that well, so she didn't know tastes and stuff. And Addie's only specification was that there are no monkeys on them, which is why I find my upcoming project so funny. Because the twins were boys, I will be starting her monkey socks. Yeah, I was already planning on doing the monkeys before I found out about her phobia of monkeys, but they don't look like monkeys, so I don't think she's going to care. But this is Knit Picks Stroll hand painted in the Tree Fort colorway, because a lot of what I'm doing for the twins is one blue, one green, so I think it works. And on a related note, for some reason I thought that I had the remnants of the Lion Brand Pound of Love in the turquoise colorway. Evidently I don't. So I'm going to have to find some blue Pound of Love, because since they're boys, I feel like the yellow is supposed to be general neutral. I don't really think it is. You don't really see a lot of little boys in yellow. But I'm going to try and find some blue and do the second baby blanket. But I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing the monkey socks for Addie, and then matching baby hats for the twins. And for the Perry the Platypus socks, I'm also planning on using the leftovers from those to do hats for the twins. I want to churn those out as quickly as I can, because I'm planning on still doing the 64 stitches on a US size 1, because they do have very little heads right now. And the 80s on the US 3s that they already have will be way too big for them. Plus I get to preserve the stripe sequence if I do the 64 stitches. So those are what's upcoming. Excuse me, I know. Between Tuesday and Wednesday, I think I got about 4 hours of sleep, and I'm still sort of playing catch up. And then the time change happened this morning. I do not like daylight savings time, but I've been trying to play catch up with sleep, and it's not really working. But yeah. So nursing school. Not a whole lot this week. Honestly, my thoughts were elsewhere most of the time. Really straightforward lectures. Some of the professors actually just flat out said, read the book. What I'm telling you in class is exactly what came from the book. so just read the book. Yeah. Not a lot of incentive to pay attention when they flat out tell you that. But, yeah, no tests, no nothing like that. Psych clinical, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't that interesting. And then we didn't have OB clinical because my instructor was on call. So, not a whole lot going on as far as nursing school goes. On the plus side, a lot of the things that we were covering in OB class, I got to see with Addie and her pregnancy. So, it works. It personally helps me a lot more seeing it in an actual person than it does just reading it in the textbook, because you can see what's going on, you can see why you're doing the treatments that you're doing. Boo-boo, what you doing? I don't know why she still tries to get into that fish tank. She knows that there are no fish in there. Okay, so there's two more things that have nothing to do with knitting or nursing school. One, I wanted to thank everyone who has sent me very sweet messages on Ravelry, on Plurk, about Susu. We have not found her yet. We had a false alarm on Friday morning. I got home from babysitting Nate, and I stopped by the feral cat colony, and I started calling her name, and this little black cat comes out of the camp and meows every time I say Susu or baby. Same little white spots, not spots, but little individual white specks, same shape ears, same shape tail. Granted, looked a little more like dirty and stuff, but there have been like 3 separate thunderstorms since she decided to go on her little adventure. So I figured she's gotten into the mud or the dirt or whatever, and that's why she looks a little different. I spent 3 hours catching that cat, which probably should have tipped me off that it was not my girl. Because Susu is not brilliant at all, and she would probably just flat out come and start like rubbing on my legs if it was her. So after I caught the cat in the towel, I opened it to find a cute little black boy. Yep. Not my Susu. So, I sort of knew this going into it. There is one mama cat somewhere who keeps having kittens who look exactly the same, and Susu is one of them. I know this because the adoption group that I got Susu through, a few months after we got her, we stopped by the PetSmart where they show some of their cats, and with the exception of the fact that she was maybe 2 pounds lighter, I would have sworn that it was Susu. Her name was Pepsi, and Susu was at home, so I sort of figured that there were more Susus out there. So I guess I found Susu's brother, once again proving that I can find and catch every other cat on this property except for my girl. But I also discovered during that process that during one of the recent storms, the fence between the fence between our apartment property and the apartment property next to us had been knocked down in some places. So I had thought that there was no way that the cats could get through between the two properties, so I only put up flyers around our property So Will is printing out photos and flyers now, and we're going to take them to the other property. We also met the woman who feeds the feral cats on our property, and she does a very good job of keeping track of who, as far as cat goes, who is there, who is not there anymore, and if there are new cats. So if Susu does come to that colony while she is there, I trust that she will notice that there is a new black cat, because right now Romeo, who is Susu's brother, I guess, is the only fully black cat in the bigger colony. The smaller colony has about 6 cats. 3 of them are black, but none of them look like Susu. They either have longer fur or a rounded tail, or they already have docked ears, which sometimes when they catch and release feral cats after spaying them, they will cut a little part of their ear off to mark, so then if another group comes in and tries to catch and release, they know that they don't have to catch that one. It's already been spayed. So fortunately, if she comes to either of those 2 colonies when there's someone there, it should be pretty clear that she's the new one, that she is our Susu. So we're going to put up flyers in the other one. Honestly, at this point, I think that she's having a grand little adventure, and that she's probably found either someone with an outdoor cat or someone who thought, oh, there's this cute little cat, I'll give it some food. And that's how she's getting her food. Or she just keeps sneaking by us at the colonies. But I think that she's fine. She's not been brought into any of the shelters, which means she's not sick or injured. And as morbid as this sounds, we also keep an eye out on the side of the road in case, something has happened with her in a car. And we have not seen her. So I think that she's fine. I think she's having a grand little adventure, and that she will either come back to our apartment or someone will see the flyer and say, oh, that's that really dumb cat that I've been feeding for the past week and a half. So she's fine. I know she's fine. Yuki, who's sitting right next to me, hold on. Hey, Boo-Boo. Hey, Boo-Boo. Yuki is adjusting to not having her sister to play with. She's been a lot more needy recently, where she just needs to have our attention, and we've been trying to play with her a lot more and get her energy out. You cold, Boo-Boo? Yes, Daddy. I don't know if you can see, because she's probably a little washed out, but her nose, when she's cold, is this very pale pink. When she gets warm, it's much more of a rosy pink. So that's how I know she's cold. But she still sits at the windows and she watches and looks around for her. But she's sort of adjusting. She got to have lots of fun last night with our godson, who is almost 3, and he got to learn, he hasn't been to our apartment in a while, but he got to learn that kitty cats are different than dogs, and that if you throw a tennis ball down the hallway, the cat will not immediately chase it down the hall. Susu does, and I think that's part of why he was doing that. But Yuki doesn't really do it. Are you having fun there? And he got to learn soft touches, and Yuki was a very good sport. he was petting her the wrong way from tail to head, and she didn't really care. That being said, she did not appreciate it when he was running up to her to try and not really catch her, but pet her and play with her because she's a very pretty cat. But she did not, thank you, she did not appreciate being chased. But she was a very good sport. Will has trained her well to be around children, which I appreciate. The only other thing this week was lots of babysitting. Lots and lots of babysitting. Got to spend time with Alex, who is our godson, and his buddy Nate, who turns 2 next week. He is a very smart, sweet little boy. I absolutely adore him. Learned 2 new things about Nate this week. One, I did a little experiment, because whenever I always bring knitting over to his house when I babysit him, because I can work on them when he's down for a nap, or when we're just watching TV, or Shrek for the 9 millionth time. So he's always seen me work on socks. So he calls them socks, and he's obviously right because they are socks, and so I say, yes, they're socks. I realized last week that I wasn't sure whether he was calling them socks because they were socks or because all knitting is socks to him. So I brought the Daybreak shawl and I brought a pair of socks to work on. And so I pulled out the socks first, and he pointed and he said, socks. I said, yes. I pulled out the Daybreak, and he sort of looked at it. And I pointed to it and said, Nate, what's that? He looked at it for a while, and sort of left it at that. So, not all knitting is socks, but he is sometimes not sure what he's looking at. But he knows they're not socks. The other fun thing is that for the first time this week, he tried to say my name. So I couldn't figure out what he was talking about when he was first saying it. Then I figured out that he meant me because he was pointing at me and saying what he thought was my name. So I tested it by pointing to myself and saying, "Who's that?" To which he responded, "Cake!" He has not quite gotten his T sounds yet. But if I'm going to have a nickname, that's just as good as any. So we had fun showing his mom that. Although the first couple of times I pointed to myself and said, "Who's that?" And he said, "Mommy." I said, "Not quite, Nate." But his mom and I do actually look pretty similar. So I have that happen with a lot of kids who just call me Mommy. Will says I have a very maternal nature, and that's probably why, you know, little kids will just come up to me in the store, or they'll wave at me or whatnot. So, yeah, I am Cake. So until next time, I hope that y'all have a good week, and that your weather is better than ours. It's cloudy and overcast, and I'm already not thrilled about the daylight savings time change, so this isn't helping. But I think Will and I are going to go for a walk in a bit and put up posters and look for our little girl. So until next time, this is Cake signing off. Bye.